Hi, everybody. Welcome to another podcast of Education Matters. My name is Linda Caldios, secondary language consultant here at Region 19. With me today is...
Hi, I'm Amy Avina. I'm the early childhood consultant here at Region 19. And today our special guests are Ms. Wendy Russell, State Director for TEKS Resource System, Ms. Gina Bio, Special Programs Coordinator, and Ms. Tamara Ramsey, Math Coordinator for TEKS Resource System. So today we're going to begin with our first question of please tell us a little bit about your background in education and tell us a little bit about leading up to your current role as Director for State TEKS Resource System.
So I've been in education for 34 years, started when I was about 10. I spent 11 years in the classroom and 22 years in administrative roles. I was assistant principal, then moved into central office as a curriculum director, assistant superintendent. As curriculum director, I was in a small district, so I wore many hats from federal programs to ESL director to, of course, curriculum and assessment. So I did it all. And then became interim superintendent in West Texas and then superintendent for Navarro ISD before moving into the state director role here.
How wonderful.
And next is Gina Bio, the Special Programs Coordinator.
In terms of my experience,
Yes.
I started out as a secondary Spanish language teacher. Then I spent several years as a primary bilingual teacher. I was a bilingual reading specialist for many years. I joined Region 13 in Austin about 17 or 18 years ago, but I've been part of the TEKS Resource System curriculum team for 14 or 15 years.
So Ms. Tamara Ramsey, their Math Coordinator.
Yes, this is my 31st year in education. I was 11 years in the classroom, or 11 years as a middle school, high school math teacher. I also was a mathematics coordinator before I came to Region 13, where I was a math specialist for Region 13. And then the last 16 years, I've been in this position, curriculum writing with TEKS Resource System.
Thank you, ladies, so
How
much
exciting.
for being here. And what do you all think is the appeal to TEKS Resource System? What are some of the possibilities or the personalization of classroom instruction? How does TEKS Resource System play a role in that?
All right, so I'll start. I think that one of the appeals is that it's we have fully aligned resources that help teachers within the classroom with their, not only their curriculum, but also assessments. We have unit assessment, formative assessments. And so teachers don't have to worry about, is it aligned and doing teachers pay teacher, does it fit the Texas TEKS? Because everything we have fits Texas TEKS.
Right. Awesome.
Add to that?
Sure. I think that for the state of Texas, we have about 95% of the districts in the state of Texas. And I think that's important for areas where there's a lot of mobility, kids moving from district to district or from one side of the state to the next. There's a high likelihood of some consistency in their educational programming. Okay. What else do you have?
I would say that we have a dedicated team of about 20. And our team is really we're just full-time staff. This is our job of really focusing on standards and what standards mean. We work closely with service centers, all 20 service centers across the state of Texas. And then we also have focus groups that come in and work with us as well. And then we contract teachers, Texas teachers. This is a Texas curriculum.
I will add, though, that using TEKS Resource System allows the autonomy for teachers to have their own voice in their curriculum, in their classroom, and it also allows for differentiation and scaffolding.
Yeah. And not all of our districts use all parts of TEKS Resource System, right? But I think what's wonderful is that there's something in there for everybody as well. So,
Absolutely.
for example, some of our teachers who maybe don't have a big background in literacy can go into TEKS Resource System and look at, what does a summary look like? What are my kids supposed to be doing if they're summarizing, if they're paraphrasing? If I don't have that background, that's not my content because I'm the art teacher, I'm having fun with my kids in health. That really plays a big role for them in that it gives them that opportunity to see what's happening in the other classrooms without having to go and do huge, extensive research on what may or may not be what's supposed to be happening in summarizing in the 8th grade health class,
I
right?
agree 100%.
I would also add to that, that's why we created the enhanced text clarification document,
Yeah.
because we wanted teachers to not only see bullets of specificity about defining what the standard meant, but actually providing examples of what that could look like in the classroom.
And so I'm going to confess something. I'm not that great at math. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I failed
That's
you.
okay.
But when my 12-year-old, they bring home some homework, that's where I go. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I have access, so I go in there, and because the way they're learning math isn't the way that I remember learning math, right? And so they say, this and in many different fashions, and you go in there and you're like, wow, look at all these different ways that they could be doing the same thing. And so many times I feel like we're teaching each other math, like, we're having a great time raising each other because we're teaching each other the math through, and using those examples in the ETCD is just so helpful. As a parent, but then also as, educators who maybe, they didn't get the chance to learn it in that fashion.
And I wanted to say with regard to literacy, this 20-person team, we all work in a very small space together. And there's a lot of cross-curricular conversations that happen about performance assessments in a 5th grade social studies class.
Mm-hmm.
What are their writing expectations, and what can they do at that certain grade level, so that the social studies performance assessments that require some reading and writing are in alignment with the 5th grade, for example, expectations in literacy.
And making sure that the rigor is at the same level across all contents, across all grade levels. Wonderful. We're seeing a lot of changes to the educational environment in Texas. In particular, HB3 mandates that all K-3 teachers and administrators overseeing those campuses engage in the reading academies. What impacts have you seen as a result of these initiatives?
I would say the one thing I've seen in classrooms and across the state of Texas is more cross-curricular planning, pulling in, especially in the lower grades. It's easier to do than it is in the higher grades, but having them plan together and talk about literature within the subject areas.
I'd also say that the obvious reaction is an increased awareness about the science of teaching reading.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, in our development team, the entire RLA team went through the experience of the reading academies, and so that team has worked very hard to integrate much of the content that is in the reading academies, as well as just to ensure that there's an alignment between our RLA curriculum and the reading academies.
I would say the same is true for mathematics. Our team went through the mathematics academies and the math academies, and we've done the very same thing. We've made sure that learning progressions, anything about reading and writing has been incorporated and thought through as we've gone through each of our grade levels and the specificity.
And I love how the Reading Academies has really pushed both ourselves and our teachers to really think about reading and writing as reciprocal processes.
That's right.
Right? Where, we can have a writing class and we can have a reading class, but truly, ideally, they should be talking to each other at all times.
Yes.
Right? To where, I think about the CCAD document, right? That really great document that lets me see kind of an overview of the entire 8th grade curriculum or the 8th grade resources over the course of the year. And as, let's say, the science teacher, I can see when our RLA teachers are doing informational text, right? And what a great opportunity for them to have that conversation about, hey, let's do that knowledge building coherence through the science articles and through just science itself. And let's talk about that in our RLA classrooms, so our kids can get the opportunity to speak science, to talk science, to read science while learning the process of reading, all kind of under the same umbrella.
True.
Absolutely. I think that builds off of what Ms. Bio said too, of the cross-curricular conversations that you all have when you're planning and laying out the TEKS resource system. Those are invaluable things for teachers now that we're seeing more of the connection between the different subject areas. So just another one of the great things about using the system. So how do you all see TEKS Resource System evolving as the educational landscape changes? How does TEKS Resource System keep up and keep current, and what does that look like?
I would say that we try to be proactive, not reactive. So we're watching, we stay abreast of all of the new things that are coming out from TEA, the Senate bills, all of the legislative session information. And then we sit as a team and talk about what can we do to make this easier for classroom teachers, to have them be the hero in their classroom. What resources can we create that we don't already have? And we've restructured a little with Jenna's new role. She's looking at what programs we don't currently have, pre-K and more CTE offerings. And so looking at how we can stay ahead of that and help teachers in the classroom. Y'all want to add to that one at all?
I don't know if I have anything else. Yeah.
I think it's exciting as an early childhood consultant to hear about pre-K, because I can't count the number of times we've been in a session and they're like, we love TEKS Resource System, but what's in there for us? So we refer back to the vertical alignment and all of those things that you can use from kinder, but knowing that pre-K is coming soon is awesome.
Yes.
Well, and we're also writing advanced math for grades 6 and 7 because of Senate Bill 2124 that just came out. So that's something else we'll be adding to TEKS Resource System. That goes back to what Wendy says, is that we just stay abreast of that and we meet as a team and say, what can we do to help teachers with that?
Awesome. So we know how important literacy is across all contents, and with the STAAR 2.0, our students need as many opportunities as possible to engage with literacy throughout the entire day in all their courses, right? What suggestions or advice do you have for our teachers, such as math teachers, when incorporating more literacy into the classroom?
One piece of advice would be, just coming from being an administrator in a school district, is to find, if you're a math teacher or any teacher, pair up with an ELAR teacher to do your planning, to find out what they're doing and see if you can't bring in some of those pieces. Graphic organizers are a great way to bring in writing into your classroom. And so those are two big pieces of advice I have for teachers.
I would also say when we are working in math, it's constantly looking at helping kids understand what that problem is really saying, reading the problem, interpreting what it means, using the graphic organizers to kind of organize their thinking about what is known, what is unknown, before they put the pencil down to start solving the problem. It's really trying to interpret what the problem means. And then once they do write it out, they're going to define what things mean. They're going to look at the mathematics vocabulary. We kind of have some unique vocabulary in mathematics, and make sure that vocabulary is understood. And then at the end, write what the answer meant, the solution in terms of the problem. So they write in the math classroom as well.
And you have to, you have to practice reading and writing daily. It has to be a daily process.
I was just going to say, in language arts, we call that, close reading of that math problem and maybe annotating the math problem. But I think I could also speak for social studies and science. So many opportunities to, of course, read some informational text in those two content areas, but to do this, the big thing in literacy and language arts with regard to the new STAAR redesign is short constructed response and its extended constructed response. And in the TEKS Resource System, in the RLA, in the English Language Arts and Spanish Language Arts curriculum as a resource, we have got some great student and teacher guides for SCR and ECR. I would say print those up and hand them to your social studies, science, and math teachers. It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff in there, but it breaks down the process of close reading, annotating, and then responding to a prompt, a piece of text that you've read.
And I wouldn't be afraid to tell teachers to look for books that, incorporate your subject matter. They're out there, and use them. It's easier in the lower grades, of course, but there are books out there associated with math for higher grades.
And so our ECRs are extended constructed responses. Those are what we're seeing now in our STAAR 2.0 in the language arts class. But I know that our social studies teachers they're having their kids write essays.
They
Right.
probably do that.
They
already.
have been, yeah. And our science teachers have as well. And so I would like to just remind our teachers that it's nothing new.
Right.
Right? But good teaching is good teaching. It's just now we're saying, okay, let's see what that result is, right? And our SCRs are short constructed responses. And I think a lot back to my own, science class back in the 1900s when, our teachers would say, hey, turn and talk to each other. Now, write down what you all talked about each other about. And so that's what those SCRs are, right? It's thinking through the content. Can I put together what I read? Can I synthesize it in a way that creates new knowledge, right? Or responds to knowledge? And then I can also provide that backup, right? That evidence that proves that what I'm saying is on the right track. And so we've been doing this forever, right? You can't have science without the research, right? That's what science is, and that's what history is. It's analyzing and synthesizing, and now we're saying, okay, kids, let's do this now in this format on this other test.
But what we
Right.
haven't been doing forever is writing in a response to text, at least, especially in the lower grades. It was normally an abstract prompt or a personal narrative, and so the guides that we have in there they include the state of Texas rubrics and their writing guides, and we've kind of expounded upon those and added some additional information. And it is especially to social studies and science teachers, it's probably not that different than what they were doing. Show me that you understand this text that you read. But there are some structural suggestions in terms of being very successful on this written STAAR exam for language arts. And so I would encourage the science and social studies teachers to take a look at this.
And so one of the things that we've encouraged our science and social studies teachers to do as they're looking through those SCRs is think about organizational patterns, right? So is this question a cause and effect question? Right, because then the student themselves can start thinking about, well, if it's a cause and effect question, then this is the structure. These are the words I need to use that prove or that show that I'm going to write in a cause and effect fashion, right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
if I can say one more thing about this, because it is a very important part of the STAAR redesign. As a primary language teacher, mostly, I sat with my colleague who's a secondary language arts teacher formerly, and she's just like, oh, this is a rhetorical analysis. We know how to do this. Well, that's not common vocabulary for the 3 through 5 or even 3 through 6 teachers. They are writing a rhetorical analysis. They are writing an analysis of the text, which is a totally different genre of writing than what they're used to doing. So,
Right. Yeah, and even thinking about, the literary analysis, right, for our language arts students who are analyzing a piece of literature. And
Right.
I remember when I was a little kid, that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. Can I just grow up and analyze literature all day long? Wouldn't that be great? And now a great portion of my work is helping others, doing that myself, and then helping others work their way through that. So it's been, I think it's a great change.
Yeah.
In terms of the way that the test is now formatted and what they're asking of our students. And I think it's wonderful and I think it's important that our teachers as well as educators and parents know that it's nothing new, right? And that it's totally doable, right? Because they have been doing it.
So are there any exciting updates to be expected from TEKS RS, like the pre-K and the other ones? Can you speak a little bit more to those?
Why, sure. We like to talk about what we're doing in TEKS Resource. I will say one of the newest things coming out is the science with the new science TEKS. Science team has been working around the clock for months, over a year, to get all of our science correct and ready to go. They're going to start putting some of that out even late fall.
Okay.
And so it'll be in TEKS Resource to give you an idea, a sneak peek with the drafts, and then we will make them official as the school year ends and we begin to turn over to the new curriculum for the new school year. We'll bring those out in true form, not draft form. So that's exciting. Of course, we're doing STAAR analysis across all the curricular areas. Do y'all want to speak to any of it?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of work with STAAR analysis. In each of our content areas, we provide STAAR analysis that have the rationales of why students might have selected certain answers. We also provide the vocabulary and notes to teachers of what students would need to know to be successful with that problem or that question. That's within STAAR analysis itself. We also provide, in mathematics, we've done STAAR vertical study. And so STAAR vertical study is where we take a concept in mathematics and we look at it as it builds across grade levels so that teachers can see what the performance was not only in grade 7, but in grade 6, grade 5, 4, 3, and they can click just on the link and it takes them directly to those items. So you can look at it vertically. And that's been very popular. What about
I mean,
language arts?
I just think generally speaking, once a content area has developed a fully fleshed out curriculum, we just get busy adding additional support and resources. And so you'll see that just continue to grow. We react to state legislation, the SBOE guidelines and new standards. So, we're always have a pulse on that information and continue to improve the system. So I'd just say keep an eye on the resource section because we're always adding tools there.
And then I will say the other very important new piece that's coming out is that TEKS Resource is getting a new platform. And this platform will afford teachers the ability to have a one-stop shop where their landing page will look much like a Canvas or a Blackboard page for them. It will be personalized for teachers. They can personalize it and just have their curriculum there. They can still go to all the other resources, but there are places for them just to have their resources. And so we're excited about that. It'll be a little more interactive than what we have right now. And then the other side to that is with some of the new things that are coming out from TEA with the OER products. TEKS Resource, or TCMPC, which is the parent company for TEKS Resource, will also have Texas Curricular Resource, which TCR, and it will support all of the OER products from TEA. A lot of acronyms there. So
I love the acronyms.
love those acronyms, but we will have support. So TEKS Resource will be supporting the non-HQIM and HQIM materials, and then TCR will be supporting the OER materials. So we will have something for everyone, depending on what they choose to use as their materials. We will have the resources to support them.
And we know that currently mathematics, right, is in the TCR, and our districts can opt in to be able to view those documents if they like. And soon we know we're adding the RLA, right? And I believe it's both SLAR and ELAR.
Yes, we'll be releasing units 1 through 4 tomorrow to districts that have requested the use of that. And then as we finish writing them, we are in the process of writing the ELAR and the SLAR. And when we get those done, we put them in the folder. So we'll be releasing them. Hope to have all of them released by
The entire year,
the
the end of
December.
I was going to say
January.
the end of this year. Yeah.
Yes.
That's super exciting. Yes. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being here, for joining us in our Education Matters broadcast. Any well wishes that you'd like to give our viewers?
We appreciate you having us here, and never hesitate to reach out. There's always a feedback button in our platform, and we do read that feedback and we do get back quickly with districts. So please don't hesitate We appreciate everyone that uses TEKS Resource, and stay tuned for all the great things that are coming out.
So
And
thank
for the
you.
work you do.
Thank you.
ladies.
Thanks.